You know that feeling when you realize you've screwed up? It's awful, isn't it? You feel it deep down and it takes a few days to go away, and damn it, you may even be a little bit sad. Well, now imagine doing it on TV. Some poor wrestlers have had to go through this, however, and it never ends well. These folk often come out afterwards and realize they screwed the pooch, but hey, such is life. You must keep marching forward. So now we are going to be a little bit mean, which isn't my intention, but we are going to go through some of these, but I say it with love. And I love you too. I am Simon Miller. I am bald. Let's go. Number 15, Drew McIntyre sings when he's losing. So Drew McIntyre knows this was an error. He has talked about it over and over, especially with the way his character has developed over the last couple of years. That guy would never have done this. Here's the deal. It was Clash at the Castle, and even though Drew was born in Scotland, WWE were going to pretend he was Welsh for one evening. It worked in the sense WWE just wanted a rabid hometown crowd, and darn it, they got it. When we got to that main event and McIntyre was going to try and dethrone Roman Reigns mid-mad title reign, everybody was into this, and it caused mad discussion at the time, because what the flub do we do? The general consensus was that Drew could win before Roman won it back, but nope. Solo Sikoa was going to pull the referee out the ring as he debuted on the main roster, and actually it was really good. The foundation for all bloodline matches, but it did the job on this night, because when the tribal chief won, fans were devastated. And sometimes tragedy is the right emotion. Tragedy isn't an emotion, but you know what I mean. As we were in the UK, boxing star Tyson Fury was in attendance, and he got in the ring because WWE has to go WWE. Drew also thought the cameras were off, so he started to have a sing-song with the former world champion, and he even did a bit of a rendition of an Oasis track. The issue came because this was aired on TV, so even though the Scottish Warrior had been screwed pretty badly, here he was laughing and singing. No, this wasn't ideal. Drew knew it too, was mentioned, and in hindsight admitted he wouldn't have done this full stop, given everybody records things on their phones. You can go and watch this footage too. It wasn't just after the fact when he got hit by this, it was towards the end of the song when really the crowd had sort of got confused as well. Let's just call it a swing and a miss. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter because Drew McIntyre is Drew McIntyre. He'll be able to figure it out, but look at that face on the screen right now. That's a man that knows he needs to go back 5 minutes, and yet sadly, there was no DeLorean in sight. Number 14, EC3 seals his own fate. Or at least he knew his fate was coming, one way or the other. He was always a weird WWE guy because even when he was on NXT, it felt like the main roster made more sense. He was built in the image of what Vince McMahon thought a wrestler should be. It didn't work out round one as EC3 went to TNA to really make a name for himself, and when he did return in 2019, and he finally got to Raw, alright, here we go. This will be the moment, and then it just wasn't. The man himself has spoken about this and how he felt totally marginalized, which explains this shot. It was after EC3 for the 142nd time had to chase the 24/7 title, and well, he was done. It could even be why he held this red Solo Cup in the air, almost toasting his future. He was stuck in WWE purgatory and there was no way out. Now, I don't want to say EC3 gave up, but I think he realized nothing was going to change, and it actually started to come across on camera. He wasn't wrong either. He was soon cut loose and really never got a proper opportunity. Remember all that bizarre stuff with the then Dean Ambrose? Who the flub knows what was going on? But if you have high hopes for yourself and then you find yourself just chasing after the 24/7 title every week, well, it's not exactly headlining WrestleMania, is it? Number 13, Caitlyn knows that didn't work. This one takes some gibberish because even though NXT was a promotion that WWE would use as its third developmental brand, it was also once a game show. That's why it was called NXT. It was next, but spelt like a promotion, because somebody decided that was a good name for a reality TV show. Who would be next? It was totally mad, however, because even though this was an official WWE product, Michael Cole was instructed to crap all over the contestants as if they were stupid for even applying. It's not going to get anybody over. Literally, the entire field was a joke, apparently. It was the least effective way of trying to make fans care. The first 2 seasons are a masterclass in this, as Daniel Bryan gets called a nerd and a vegan, how dare he, but the 3rd season, my gosh, it's just offensive now as the all-women cast would mock something fierce. It was almost like they were idiots for trying to wrestle. Trust me, my friends, this is bad. The most infamous match from this time was Caitlyn versus Maxine, and look, neither person is to blame. They shouldn't have been having a bout on TV because neither were ready, and they knew this too because they weren't foolish, and bam, Caitlyn's face here sums it up. She knows bad from good, and after being unfairly thrown at the deep end, what else could she do? And I just respect the fact they kept on going. You could have easily have just shut down. Caitlyn also did a roll of the eyes as well, and yeah, she was right, we shouldn't have done this. But what are you going to do when you are handed an opportunity of a lifetime? I suppose you would trust the company who are producing the damn thing. Wonders never cease. Number 12, Steve Austin knows the end is nigh. We may be reaching here, but prior knowledge is a powerful thing. As The Rock and Steve Austin were gearing up for their third and final match at WrestleMania 19, they headed out on Raw for a rock concert that encapsulated why everybody loved these two to begin with. It felt like a greatest hits in many ways, and Austin returning towards the end was great. I mean, of course it was. Stone Cold had a knack for making audiences go crazy. Now, the week following this was going to see Steve go through some horrendous times before their big match, and surely that's what sealed the deal for him. He was done. Seems wild to assume that there wasn't more before all this though, and if you do watch Austin here, it does sort of feel like he's trying to take it in one last time. He often turns his back to the camera and slaps on the ropes just looking at the crowd. Wasn't necessarily something he did a lot, and he seemingly throws in some classic quotes that had launched his major wrestling run. I don't know, man. He may have been ready for the whole thing, but totally upset that it had come to this. This one picture really does sum it up though, and just look at those shoulders. It's like when you let out a big sigh. And the crazy part is the biggest star in the industry had to hang up his boots and nobody knew, as mad as it sounds. You see younger fans find out about that today and they think we're lying, but we're not, dudes. Austin kept all of this to his inner circle, but after WrestleMania 19 we learned that he had retired. When you compare that to some retirement ceremonies today, totally nuts. Number 11, The Rock is worried. And I do not blame him. The internet jumped on this at the time, and you gotta imagine The Rock wasn't pleased. It was meant to be a triumphant return. Not quite. It was the 2015 Royal Rumble, however, and as WWE wanted Roman Reigns to win, but knew the Philadelphia crowd wouldn't be happy with that, they made a phone call. Let's not get away from how silly this was too. You knew the live audience would get on your back, but you planned to do it anyway. I believe they call that a strange decision. We even made out like Kane or the Big Show were going to win the Rumble to make it seem like Roman being victorious was the better choice, when yep, out came the Great One to help his cousin. On paper this made all the sense, but the powers that be had drastically underestimated how clued in the fans were. They saw what WWE was trying to do, so they reacted the opposite way. If The Rock is going to help Roman Reigns, we're going to boo him too. Well, no, that's not true. They didn't boo him. They just decided to heckle Roman Reigns regardless. I mean, Santa Claus could have arrived. Doesn't matter. The phase we are talking about happened after the fact too, when cameras caught up with the future bloodline. Because look at The Rock. He is a man who is very smart with how he presents himself, and now there was this. I mean, he is not best pleased to say the least. I'm sure he didn't expect it either. I don't think anybody did. And if you do want to seek out this interview on YouTube right now, well, you can hear his words too. I would hazard a guess that it changed what appearances he was going to agree to going forward. Because who wants to go through that again? The answer is no one. That's who. His whole period was just weird. Number 10, Braden Walker has made a mistake. In the 2000s, or at least post-2001, WWE's biggest issue was they had no competition. Couple that with the end of the Attitude Era, and they just didn't know what to do. Vince McMahon then panicked and booked some horrendous TV. If you know, you know. I don't think McMahon realized that though, so continued to come up with stories and characters just to make himself laugh. Or so I assume. No one else could have possibly thought this was the way to turn things around, but again, he had ended his competition, so I guess now he was just gonna have some fun. I assume this ties into Chris Harris from TNA, as in 2005, this man was getting over. Even though he just looked like a bruiser, fans were getting behind him, so of course WWE swooped in. It happened a lot and he then became Braden Walker. As always, you gotta have a new name. It was a strange hire because he was not the usual Vince McMahon signing, when all of the above tied in. Turned out we were gonna have Walker tell knock-knock jokes, and ironically, I am not kidding. He walked up to Armando Estrada and tried to tell one of these, and it was so bad too. Knock knock, who's there? Braden Walker, and I'm gonna knock your teeth out. What? Go and look at Braden's face during that too, because he knows how silly this is, and if he had been with the company a few years, he likely would have pushed back. We can't do this is ridiculous, but he was brand new, so he just had to try and make it work. It did not. Amazingly, all of this was over within a month too, meaning it was just a big bad mistake. Even if he had been brought in as the Wildcat from TNA, it felt doomed because McMahon just didn't get it. Can only guess somebody on staff had sung his praises, but Vince didn't see it. The scripting was so bad. And look, don't go and seek this out today. You just make yourself sad. Number 9, Bayley can't use weapons. This is what I mean when we jump on bad ideas. Do not go after the performer. They know. If anything, they know better than us. They are caught in the thick of it. Case in point, Bayley in 2017. Her call-up from NXT had been strange anyway, because Vince McMahon clearly didn't get the character, and instead of booking her as a hero to children, she was sort of treated like an actual child. You can't see my face, but I'm squinting my eyes because I'm confused. Come the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, it was just a mess though, as Bales faced Alexa Bliss, and yep, to try and be the good guy, I suppose Bayley wouldn't use a weapon because that's not her style, even though she was the one that pitched the fight, and she knew what this meant. I mean, the other part of her gimmick was being a super fan, so how could she have forgotten about Hell in a Cell, TLC matches, chairs, ladders, kendo sticks? The list goes on and on, it quite literally goes back years. It meant not only did Bliss win, but she kicked Bayley's ass, and after the fact, Bale had to do a sit-down interview with Corey Graves to justify her actions, but boom. There it is, the face. I can only imagine Bayley didn't want to say any of this as she mentioned all of the above. There was just no conviction, however, because how could there be? It's like me going, by the way, I have loads of hair. It just doesn't make sense. It almost would have been better had she just gone, what the hell do you want me to say, and ran with that idea, but Bayley was not allowed. We had to do some serious rehabbing from this point on too. We did not do right by the hugger. Number 8, Simon Gotch's dark flashbacks. Simon Gotch does not like Enzo Amore. You know the YouTube video, you've seen the meme. Took over the internet for a while. Gotch even said Enzo was so bad in the ring, he almost broke his leg doing a wrist lock. And I don't know about you, but I need to know more. It did beg the question why the hate got so strong though, and actually it was Enzo himself who may have answered that when he retorted in his own interview. Now of course we have to mention that both guys are telling their own versions of events, so a pinch of salt is needed. Amore, however, said that he buried Simon so badly during an NXT promo class that Mr. Gotch never recovered. He went on to explain this because yes, Simon Gotch was wearing his Andre the Giant type singlet, and as a nipple was showing, Enzo mentioned he had titties like a 65-year-old woman. I mean, okay, that's not a total burial, a cute line at best. Enzo went on to explain that Simon then adjusted his garment to cover his skin, and sure, that likely did happen. If the room exploded like we were told, I'm sure Gotch felt a bit sensitive in the moment because he is a human. And yes, maybe right then he did likely die inside. We've all been there. Sometimes we don't want to be the butt of the joke. To say this is the headline of their beef though, I don't know man, seems like a stretch. But they definitely don't like each other, however. There is no Christmas cards for them. Number 7, Hulk Hogan pout to the Hall of Fame. Stone Cold Steve Austin knew what he was going to do at the 2006 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. He was inducted Bret Hart into the thing, which was a big deal regardless. And when he was made aware that Hulk Hogan would be sat behind him on the stage, well then, you do need some context here because Stone Cold wasn't just taking a shot for the sake of it. For years, Hulk had made many a remark about Austin, I suppose, because he surpassed Hulk's achievements in many ways. So Steve decided, why don't I get some revenge? It was fed to him too as the crowd started to chant Austin and Hogan when they realized they were this close to each other, and Austin jumped on it. From nowhere started telling a story about his bag and earlier in the day, finding a can of whoop-ass in there with Hulk Hogan's name on it. He then spun around and eyeballed the man, and dude, this place went nuts, they loved it. Hulk Hogan did not. He couldn't hide it either, because look at his face. I would guess he'd know he wasn't able to respond, so he let his emotions get the better of him, and for the rest of the night, dare I say it, he was miserable. Stone Cold had got one over him. Hulk don't like that. It was great TV though, maybe because there was some sort of a tease for that match, although it was never going to happen. Not by 2006, so this is as close as we're ever gonna get. Number 6, Bret Hart is pissed off. So you all know this one, but if we are talking about images that have caught wrestlers having a breakdown in the moment, yeah, this one, the 1997 Survivor Series and the screw job, this was Hart coming to terms with it in real time. Now, aside from the sheer shock of having the rug pulled out from underneath you and accepting you just got dicked over, Bret must have had more in his head. He may have used this moment to write WCW in the sky, but his biggest worry was that World Championship Wrestling wouldn't know what to do with him. He was proved right. I would guess all of this was going through his brain because even with the nastiness of the Survivor Series situation, he was still going to be working with a huge company, getting paid serious money. But if you know that your creative is about to be dog, yeah, it takes over everything. This was a dude that wanted to tell old school stories, and within months, WCW was going to be a promotion actively telling you wrestling was fake. It was not a good fit at all, and talk about a photo saying 1,000 words. Number 5, Paul Heyman uses his face all of the time, which is why he's one of the masters. Paul Heyman is never that bothered about getting himself over, but if he is at ringside with a client aware that a camera could cut to him at any second, he's gonna sell this on his face. Go and watch anytime one of his dudes is in peril. We could all learn from it. Sometimes reality does take over, however, which happened when WWECW presented its December to Dismember pay-per-view with an Elimination Chamber match to close out the show. I will give you the headline here. This whole thing was awful. Now, in terms of the story, Bobby Lashley had just beaten the Big Show at the end for the ECW title, and as CM Punk was Paul's guy, he had to sell it. This, however, this is not what he wanted. The truth, though, is that it was legit too, because my gosh. This whole event was awful and had been a mess during the build as Heyman and Vince McMahon argued over who should win. Paul wanted Punk, McMahon wanted Bobby, and these two did not see eye to eye. You could see the dissension on the screen because this was an awful, awful event, and hardcore fans hated it too. This wasn't ECW. It had transformed into just another WWE product, which all things considered was the worst outcome. This crowd would have preferred nothing. So this shot of Heyman selling his woes as also a man who knows that badness has just happened. It likely hurt twice as much because the 3 initials were his above the marquee. It all went really bad between Paul and Vince after this too. They fell out and then some. And just to sum it up, none of it was good. Number 4, Gail Kim dies with a smile. Gail Kim was awesome. Go watch the reaction when she was let go from TNA in 2025. People couldn't believe it because we all know she's been a bastion for women's wrestling for years. Even if you go back to her early days, you can see Gail just gets it, hence why she made it to the top of the tree. There is a terrible story out there about why Vince McMahon wouldn't sign her at first until Jim Ross made him see sense, and then yeah. Kim's WWE run isn't great through no fault of her own. The women's division in the 2010s just wasn't treated right at all, including talent being told they can't punch each other because that's what the men do. It could be one of the worst sentences of all time. Gail soon left and kicked ass in TNA before a second go around in WWE when, yep, it was more of the same. This was full on Divas era as well, so if you know, you damn well know. It was just an absolute mess and a huge reason why years later we needed a proper evolution. By August 1st, 2011, Kim was more than done, however. So during a battle royal where the plans called for Maurice to eliminate her, and then Maurice got hurt, Gail just threw herself out of the thing. This image here shows her smiling beforehand, maybe because she knows what the fallout of this was going to be, and that once again she would be free. Can't blame her for that. If you want to have good matches and instead you're being told to do the opposite, well, eventually you're just gonna check out. It is actually also pretty funny Gail eliminated herself from a battle royal. Her and Mil Mascaras can absolutely have a great chat. Number 3, Dean Ambrose is Jon Moxley. The Dean Ambrose Chronicle that aired on the WWE Network in 2018 as the future Jon Moxley was rehabbing an injury is an incredible watch. It is part shoot, part work, with Ambrose seemingly admitting he's gonna leave the company as soon as his deal is up. I think WWE must have missed that in post, because no way they would have kept this stuff in, but they did. Given what Mox has done ever since, it makes it even better. You can just see and hear how pissed off he is with the whole WWE process too, and he even says he's not going to manufacture answers for a documentary. Bad enough in promo, so if you've got a script, you can go elsewhere. If you then remember how he was in New Japan and AEW the first few months, this is that guy, and he's already got that look in his eye. To tie into this list, he also has the look of a man totally sick of the wrestling company he currently exists within. He did not like it. Another huge line is, I just want it to be over. I just want to get back to being in the ring, get back to what I'm doing. And yeah, that tells you the whole story, and again, this is meant to chronicle his return to the squared circle, but actually it's his exit tale. How he feels wrestling should be presented differently, and maybe he should just go and do that instead. There's no many shots like the one here that underlines his frustrations, but to say he was done is an understatement. To be super nerds, I say this is the death of Dean and the arrival of Mox. He had already made up his mind. Number 2, CM Punk can't help it. So we all know that CM Punk's exit from the WWE in 2014 was not great. The reason we throw that in there is because if you watch the months leading up to January, particularly the latter part of 2013, you can kind of see he doesn't give a damn anymore. He's done. The championship ascension ceremony from the Raw of December 9th is a great example of this, and maybe evidence as to why he was happy to walk away. I mean, what the flub is a championship ascension ceremony? It was done to underline the unification of John Cena's and Randy Orton's WWE titles at the TLC pay-per-view, and for some reason a bunch of the other wrestlers had to be in the ring. I guess we were just trying to make it a big deal. Of course, given the date, this is when the fans only cared about one thing: Daniel Bryan. As WWE kept ignoring this, the crowd on this night decided to just shout his name during this segment, and they really did take over the thing. Bryan even cracked a wry smile because he was right there too, and even Triple H looks a bit flustered. This was not going to go away unless we do something about it. The true joy is CM Punk, who gets caught in the background though, because he quite literally cracks up at how poorly WWE is handling this, and man, he even face palms. It's almost like you can see how done he is with the constant back and forth between the audience and management, when all we had to do was push Daniel and everybody would be happy. We didn't know, and as Punk didn't give a hoot anymore on live TV, he has basically let his feelings known. It's a shame it got him down so much weeks afterwards, because this really is a nice moment, and if nothing else, maybe he just wanted to support his friend. Of course, later on during this segment, John Cena just drags Daniel Bryan into the center of the ring, because he's not going to ignore it. So yes, if you're only aware of those times when the fans want to cheer what WWE is giving them to cheer, you should check this out. It is flubbing hilarious. Number 1, Hangman Adam Page tells a story. AEW does not tell stories, or so the crazy say. You can believe what you like, but Hangman Adam Page does, all of the time. That's why he became the main character of the promotion. At All Out 2019, Page lost the chance to become the first ever AEW World Champion, and on subsequent Being the Elite shows, he was just despondent. I mean, you can see him here, staring off into the distance. He doesn't know what to do. The Young Bucks even tried to console him, but he felt like they were just doing this because they felt like they had to. A loss in wrestling mattered, and AEW wanted you to know that. And then from here, Page wanted to play the role of top babyface on Dynamite, but he couldn't do it. He lost a Pac, which hit him even harder, and eventually the idea was clearly he is elite, but he's not able to show it. The Cowboy then basically had a mental health crisis, which was an incredible jump for wrestling in the 21st century, and Adam here was great at it. A man who believed in his talent but maybe had lost his confidence. And of course, he'd eventually go off the rails due to all of this because he couldn't take it anymore. He burned down a flipping man's house. Before that, it was the connection with the Dark Order to pull at those emotional strings, and man, that hit too. They told him straight, "You're no loser to us, you're our friend." I mean, it sounds like Sesame Street, but in practice it was far more. It really felt like AEW were doing something different and mature, and a lot of it were due to the facial expressions and the lonely figure Hangman Adam Page cut. When you jump forward to All Out 2025, you get even more of this, but from the other side of the fence, of course. It really is some of the best stuff you could ever hope to see, especially from an alternative promotion. Gave you a reason to care, and damn it, my friends, a lot of the time, that is all wrestling is. Know of any other times wrestlers just died inside and we all got to witness it live? But why don't you let me know in the comments below as well as the story? If you like the video, share the video, subscribe, and please smash that notification bell. You can also click the video on the screen to get even more information about pro wrestling so we can all be massive nerds together. But others, my friends, make sure you have a terrific day, and I will talk to you again very soon.